Hi, folks. Welcome back to another episode of Craft on Tap, where we talk about growth marketing for RIAs. I'm your host, Stephen Beach, and my co host, Faustin Weber. We have a quick show for you today. Hopefully, it's quick about Instagram. So, we're going to talk about Instagram strategy for financial advisors in 2026. How do you make every post count? How do you get kind of the mileage out of every post? Before we continue, would love a 5-star rating and just a quick click on that if you can on Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts, just to help other people find us. And thanks for listening. So let's jump in, Faustin. How do we think about Instagram strategy for financial advisors? It's not for everybody, right? So
Yeah.
first of all, how do we decide if it's even something worth pursuing? Because the stuff we're going to talk about today is, it gets pretty in detail with best practices, and there's a 50 things you got to remember to do and how to format everything and so on. And there's a lot of work that goes into it. So before we make that commitment, how do we decide if it's the right platform for our financial advisor clients?
Yeah, nice. I think the first thing is just to consider your demographic that you're trying to go after, right? In terms of your target audience, because Instagram does skew a little bit younger. I just pulled some quick data, 2026 demographic data from Sprout Social, and they have like 86% of Gen Z uses Instagram, 81% of millennials. Then it kind of drops a little bit from there, like 60% of Gen X and 39% of boomers, right? So as you get older, there's less and less of you know, um, the platform use. I think if you're thinking about your resources as an advisory firm, uh, make sure if you're going to commit to Instagram that the target audience makes sense, right? So, tech professionals in their 30s and 40s, business owners, small business owners, those in their 30s and 40s, like Instagram's a really good platform to use. I think as you go up, right, if you are limited in your time and resources, there are some other channels that could be better utilized. 'Cause I do think Instagram has some limitations just in terms of it's a steep learning curve a lot of times for advisors getting into it because there's so many different like the reels and the stories and when should I share a story versus a reel, and it's a little bit tricky to edit on desktop too. Like you have to do a lot of stuff on your profile on mobile, and so it's just it becomes a big time sink unless it's something that you really want to commit to in terms of your demographic. Does that make
Yeah.
sense, Stephen?
Yeah, good. Just to double click on one point you made. I hate using that phrase. I don't know why I just said that, but just to go back to one point you made. I was talking with a prospect earlier this week about this, and just he was kind of saying, where do I start? He was smaller, like this advisor I was talking to. He's a solo guy, so it's like he's got 40 million in AUM, right? And he's in a different situation than some of our clients that are 500 million to 4 billion. I mean, in that range. We might be trying we definitely will be using a completely different approach, using more channels because they have more budget, right? We have more bandwidth to work with. We know they have a larger audience already. If you're just getting started, like this prospect I was talking to, that's a totally different situation where you have limited time. Everybody has limited time, but still, for a solopreneur, for a solo advisor, there's a lot of limits on your time and a lot of demands on your energy. So it's like, can you really be, if you're that guy, can you really be on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn, and can you optimize your website, and can you send an email newsletter at the no, like it's just not realistic. So I told him, if you're starting off like that, it would be wise, most likely, to pick one channel where your audience is going to be and really get good at that channel. Like, just kind of put the blinders on and just focus on that channel and get really good at it and start to build the audience there, start to build some conversion mechanism there, and just put all your energy and resources into that. So I say all that because just to add to your point earlier, but for the bigger firms, right? For the ones that are maybe 5 advisors and up, for the groups that are 3 billion, 4 billion in AUM, that's a totally different situation. And then we can add Instagram as a channel. Specifically if maybe they have different ideal client personas. Maybe one or two of those personas is on Instagram more. Maybe they skew younger, so we could add Instagram as a channel and use different content and add that to our overall strategy, for that kind of group. So it just depends where you are, I guess, right, in the size and the growth of your firm, and especially your audience. Like, again, just we have to start there. So anyhow, yeah, that's all I'd add.
Yeah, that's no, that's great. I mean, I agree with all that. Well, so like two reasons why, like if you're in that bucket of trying to start Instagram or get your Instagram channel better optimized, two reasons why Instagram works really well is I feel like the reels, which are the video clips that you would post, they do a great job of the algorithm does an awesome job of getting it in front of non-followers. So like expanding beyond your current base in a way that I think the other platforms struggle a little bit with. That we've talked about on this show, like LinkedIn, for instance. I think LinkedIn is getting to a point where you get more suggested clips, and there's a challenge of getting to your actual followers versus being just seeing what other people that you're not even following are posting all the time. But I think Instagram really succeeds in that. And all you got to do is look at the data behind, your followers versus non-followers for all of your clips, and you can see that the majority of views that you're going to get are usually from your non-followers, which shows like an expansion of brand awareness for your clip. So if you're sharing really engaging videos, it's an opportunity to build your following to get in front of more people. So I think Instagram does that really well. And then the second thing is I love the collaborative post feature on Instagram. I think we've talked a lot in our previous episodes about trying to leverage the audience of someone else who, for your target audience, there's an overlap. So someone else that's marketing towards tech professionals, right? And you're marketing towards tech professionals. The collaborative post feature on Instagram is fantastic because what it does is it puts both of your account and the account of the person that you're collaborating with, your video in both of those feeds. So rather than just being tagged like on LinkedIn, right? Rather than have a plan where you both post at the same time or you post two different things and then you try to share with each other, the same post can get into the feeds of everyone at the same time. And so you just get a lot better engagement overall. And we've seen that for, we've talked about this a lot with like podcast guests and video guests. And we've seen the views skyrocket and the engagement skyrocket and the audiences of our clients skyrocket because of those collaborative posts. Does that make sense, Stephen?
Yep. Nice. Yeah, the collaborative posts, especially if you find the Walmart. We talked about Walmart and Waffle House in the last couple episodes. Find a Walmart that's out there, a big audience, somebody that's in your space or is an influencer in the space that already has a big following, and then you are the Waffle House. So you're going to set up shop right on the edge of the Walmart parking lot and try to capture those people, that are going in or leaving from Walmart. Same thing here. We've had some good success with that, where we're trying to kind of hack our way into awareness with an advisor who nobody knows who he is or who she is. And one of the ways we could do that and have had some success is, yeah, by finding those influencers that already have 40,000, 50,000, 60,000 followers on Instagram, pitching them on a collaborative post and what value we can help add to their audience, and then doing the collaborative post. Usually that's a video, could take the form of a video show or podcast, but then we clip it up and can publish that on their feed and on our feed at the same time. That has been really successful, both I think in terms of
Yeah.
generating new followers and then also engagement, which then gets our advisor more reach, more awareness on the platform, more eyeballs on his content on the platform. So yeah,
Yeah. Well, one thing we like to do is we have our advisor's face like at the bottom of the screen so that there's the awareness there. And then whoever the influencer is or the Walmart person is, we have him or her up at the top. Who they're the feature of the post, right? Because we want their audience to get excited about it and to engage with it. And then we just have our advisor's face down there, and then that way we get that awareness as well, right? Because
right.
people say like, "Who is this? Who is this person?"
Kind of
So we
riding
kind
their
of,
riding their coattails to more
that's
awareness,
right.
more
That's
followers.
exactly yeah. That's exactly right. We can't do a post where it's our advisor. They're not going to want to collaborate on that, right? Like whoever we're trying to feature, because the people are be like, "Who is
Right.
this?"
They
So
don't
you
know
have to think
who
about
they
that
who they
too.
are.
Like, yeah. Okay, so a couple of quick hitters. So the way we think about it, like reels, just like we're talking about, like they're about reach, like they're about bringing people into your audience. The feed, which is what shows up as you're scrolling through Instagram, think about that in terms of like, hey, we want to trigger brand recognition and memory, right? Because the people that are going to be in your feed, right, are typically the people that are going to be following you. So you want to make sure that that you stay top of mind for them, right? And so those are posts typically that you would do outside of the reels or outside of the clips. Those are posts that you would do like carousel type posts or image based posts. You just want to make sure that you're in their mind, right? Um, and then we think about stories. Stories are kind of the tricky thing for a lot of advisors that are trying to get started with Instagram. Stories, as you guys know, are the little pieces that stick up at the top of the platform as you're using it, and you're going to see the stories of people that you're following, right? So stories are really about like retention, keeping your audience engaged. And so one of the things that we always would advocate for is you want to get you have your video reel that you're sharing, but then we always would advocate for doing a story post that links to your full reel, right? Because if you think about it, like people are scrolling through, they might miss the clip, right, that you share. And so you want to try to get a reel or a story up at the top that sort of engages them. You can do a little bit more with the editing of the story as well, add some like captions and tiles and stuff on top of it, and then try to get more engagement to the actual full clip itself. So that's one thing that when we first start off with advisors, they're not doing typically, they're not doing the stories. And again, that gets back to that limitation at the beginning. It's a little bit trickier to do that from a desktop version. You have to have a special third-party software, or you just have to be using the mobile device. There's also different dimensions with the story in terms of the visuals versus the post dimension. So there's like some tricky things with Instagram that you just need to consider, but it is really valuable to be able to get a story going for your current audience that can leverage more time, more watch time, potentially more sends on the actual video clip reel itself. And then in that way, you're sort of leveraging both your current audience and trying to get more reach by doing a reel. Is that making sense, Stephen? Because I think I'm throwing
Yeah,
out
good.
a lot of
Yeah, no,
terminology
yes, a lot
there.
of
Yeah.
hopefully folks are following. If Instagram doesn't apply to you, by the way, just hit pause on this episode and go to a completely different episode, and you'll find a lot more
Yeah.
value there. But yeah, because this is getting into the weeds. But yeah, that's good. I think the stories, like just to try to summarize what you're saying, you post a reel, a video clip
Yeah.
that is primarily meant to bring new people in, and then you turn that. You also post a story that is promoting said reel, which is just like pouring a little bit of fuel on the fire that you already started. Like it's
Yeah.
just
Beautifully
another way to
said.
try to maximize what you're doing. You think that was beautiful? Okay,
Oh
thanks.
yeah, that's great because if you think about how people use Instagram, right? Like they're like da, 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 they get on. I like to imagine everyone using Instagram, and then you look at the top, you see all of your scrolling individuals that you're following. Your face or the firm's logo or brand goes up at the top. They click into that. It's a promotion. It's shorter of a time frame, right? As you guys know from stories, are shorter than the real duration typically. But then you can say watch full clip, jump into the actual full clip, right? And that actually helps overall to increase the watch time sometimes too, because as you're just scrolling through the feed, you won't always stop and watch a full video, right? But if you've watched it a little bit on the story, you're more likely to spend a little bit more time watching the video, right? Because on the story, you can make it a little bit more engaging, give a little bit more insight into actually what the video is going to be covering. So you can get a little bit more dwell time, is what we call it in the marketing world, like more time spent on watching it. So there's a higher likelihood for the algorithm to share it with other people that are your non-followers.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, Zuckerberg
Um,
wants you to dwell on the platform as long as possible. That's what he's trying to get
Just
us to
spend
do.
all the
Dwell,
time. We just need
just
all that
dwell hours and
Instagram.
hours of dwelling. Yeah.
That's why I find myself deleting it pretty often, just getting right off.
Yeah.
Even as a marketer, I'm like, got to get out of that Instagram.
Yeah, I was gonna say that
Um,
the funny thing about this is I'm using a this hardware piece called the Brick. I don't know if anybody's heard of this, but it is a tool to eliminate my Instagram addiction, and it's served really well. So I haven't deleted the Instagram app, but I can no longer get to it on my phone. So I still have an account and all that stuff. I can use it for business purposes if I need to, but once I have it bricked, I have set up it's called like getbrick.app, I think is the website. I can't even get to it, so it kind of prevents the addictive dwell scrolling situation that I found
yeah,
myself in so many times before. So anyhow,
yeah.
Just a
We're in kind of a
sidebar.
paradoxical situation here because you're trying to use Instagram less, and we're trying to teach people how to
I
use
know.
Instagram to get better engagement. So
Yeah. I guess we
that's
can
all
go
right.
back and cut that. I don't know. Yeah. But
Yeah,
it's
no,
a
I
different
think we're
scenario.
good.
I'm just doing it for personal use where I'm just watching like like silly cat
Yeah,
videos or like old clips of like Cops. Remember the show Cops? Like somehow that's showing up for me. So, anyways, yeah, versus business and just trying to stay focused on your audience and generating more followers for financial advisory firms. But the platform does such a. I guess my point is the platform does such a good job of keeping you on there.
yeah.
It's hard. It's just hard on a personal level to stay focused on just the professional side. So that's how I find myself just doing it on the desktop. Because
Yeah.
on the phone, you're just Zuckerberg's
Well,
got you.
to that end, two other quick tips, right? Like, if you are going to do image posts or carousel posts, which are the ones that you can swipe through, those do pretty well. And I like varying up the video clips because if you think about it, right, just like your LinkedIn profile page or your company page on LinkedIn, when somebody sees a collaborative post that you've done or they see a reel, they want to click in to the actual profile. If it's your individual advisory profile on Instagram or the firm profile. And so you want to make sure you have like a nice variance as like people are seeing all of your posts, right? So I like varying up the video every now and then with some images and some carousel posts that are more like educational, that have content as you're scrolling through that teach you about a particular subject. And one of the things that you can do, because reels are going to get better reach, is you can add audio to the actual image posts that you're doing. And those will qualify it in the Instagram algorithm as a reel, which will allow you for better reach. So it's like one of the ways to like have your cake and eat it too. Like you get the variance of a nice image post. You don't have to do the work of another video. You get the nice like display as you're looking through someone's page, but you get the value of a reel in the way that it presents itself in the reels to other non-followers, right? That's just like one
Nice.
little
Yep.
tip you can do just
Just by
to
adding
add
audio.
just by adding
Yeah.
the audio. And then another piece is if you geotag it, right? Like for the location. So this will be relevant to an advisor that's like going after a particular city in Oklahoma, for instance, right? And they just want to target a particular group in Oklahoma. Geotagging it, right, gives you a better likelihood that it's going to show up in that geographic location, especially if people have been looking for, clips that are related to that particular area. So, the tangentially, you could have your target audience that's looking up uh, Oklahoma focused restaurants, but then because you've geotagged your financial topic, right, and they may have looked at another financial topic, you have a higher likelihood of that showing up to those individuals that are in that area. So those are just like
Nice.
two little tips that maybe are a little advanced, but that can go a really long way in sort of like maximizing the reach of your reels. Um,
Yep. Nice.
okay, and then I think just the sort of the one of the last things that we were going to talk about, Stephen, is just to make sure that your profile itself, like spend some work on your profile, right? Because I do think it's super important. Think of it almost like a little mini website, just like you would for your LinkedIn profile, where it has the firm information, the website. If you're trying to share sort of a conversion opportunity, if it's a lead magnet, like a checklist download or a quiz you want them to take or a newsletter sign up or a course that you want them to take, make sure that's high up in the profile information. And again, unless you're using a third party, this is one that has to be done on the mobile device often. But just make sure that that's up there relevant, because if you've done a lot of work with the collaborative post, you got people that are coming to your profile. You want to make sure that it's representative of exactly what you want them to do. It's hard to get people, to your point, Stephen, it's hard to get people off the platform. It's very hard. I would not spend most of your time trying to get people off the platform. It's very difficult to share links. We do link in bio a lot in our captions if we want people to watch a full episode or go to a full video or go to our website page. Very rarely does that like generate a lot of traffic to the site just because people want to stay on it. But in terms of overall brand awareness, right, you want to give them an opportunity when they actually do get on your page, when they actually check you out, to give yourself that likelihood that they're going to jump off. And if they can't find the link quickly up in the top bio section, if they don't understand what your firm offers or the value proposition, then you've lost them, at least for that initial catalyst that they had to reach out. Oh, and then one more,
Nice.
Stephen,
So
before, yeah, real quick. One more is just the commenting. Just like we talked about with LinkedIn, commenting can build an audience. Now, a lot of our clients are not happy with me when I recommend commenting on Instagrams. That means they have to spend more time on Instagram commenting in on accounts where their audience is also going to live. But if you just look through, like one of the advisors I've been working with the last 9 months, he's been regularly commenting on other Instagram profiles that are connected with his audience that he's going after. And you just see, like, every week, followed, 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 followed. All these different individuals are following him because of the comments he's making on some of these posts that are getting thousands of views. And so that approach, that's not often talked about from an Instagram perspective. It's talked about a lot on LinkedIn, but commenting can get you a long way there as well. It's just going to be a grind to get there. So that's why we like to say, reels to expedite, collaborative posts to expedite, but then the steady grind of commenting can also help increase your audience over time.
okay, awesome. Okay, so let me try to summarize the piece about the Instagram profile page, almost like treating it like we talked about on LinkedIn. We did an episode on LinkedIn, and optimizing your profile is one of the first steps. So same thing there, like optimize your profile page with right, description of who you are, what you do, who you're doing it for. They should immediately understand that within like 3 seconds. Your image, which would be most likely your firm logo, or if you're doing a personal account, your photo, and then a mix of images and videos such that it shows in your, what do you call that, the when you look at somebody's profile and it has the grid, right, of thumbnail images. It's a mix there, so you got some variety for what people
Yeah.
can click through. that's
Yep.
that's um that's all important to treat, to optimize that. Let me ask you something though too, like, big picture with all of this is, I mean, are we really gonna drive leads from Instagram? Like, how this is working? Because you said
Yeah.
about Instagram makes it hard to get off of the platform. Like we said before, why would they want you to leave the platform? They want you to stay on there as long as as you can, so they can serve you up more ads, and then they get paid. So they do make it pretty hard to, for us to say, okay, go, you see this
Yeah.
reel, you've watched the video. Now you're going to go to our bio page, click on a link like that has several links. It's our homepage, and it's a landing page that has a downloadable ebook, let's say, and go there and then fill out the form for the ebook, and then now you're a lead in our system, and we can nurture you with more content and so on. That whole process is, I think, pretty hard to do. It's almost like Instagram is set up to, not to prevent that, but it's just set up where it's like it's really hard to do that at scale. You might get one or two every now and then, but for advisors, I mean, that's not really how we're looking at using the platform, right? It's more like, for, like you said, followers, brand awareness, just exposure to these folks that are in your space. And so, yeah, we would advocate more for KPIs being related to that kind of thing, like watch time metrics, engagement metrics, more followers, that kind of thing. But don't look at it as, oh, if I set up Instagram, I'm going to set up a nice clean funnel and start driving leads. It's more likely going to be people are kind of checking you out there. They may validate you. You may be validated in their mind by seeing you on Instagram. If they're already in your network and they're just kind of poking around, maybe it's a referral where they're checking you out on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram, and now they see all your great content. Okay, that's great, but it's really not for driving new leads, correct? I mean, is that how we should paint the picture here? I just want to make sure, like, people know how to approach it in general.
Yeah, I would say
That was
that.
a question in there somewhere. I asked a
Yeah,
question in
no,
there
so I would say not
somewhere in that
immediately,
10-minute
right? But
monologue.
like,
Okay.
but the idea would be that they're engaging over a period of time, and then when they have when there's an opportunity for them or there's a catalyst in their own life, right? You're like top of mind for them. You've occupied that mind space in their minds that
Right.
they might be willing to reach out at that point. We have had success like driving people to download those, white papers and ebooks and different things like that. It just doesn't happen every time, right? Like we do sometimes set up KPIs around like a few downloads a month or something along those lines. But we would not ever put our entire marketing thrust behind a conversion funnel based on Instagram with most of our clients, I guess is what I would say. I will
Okay.
say though, Stephen, that like you have a lot of engagement, a lot of interest. You're doing collaborative posts. You're building your audience, and what we do end up seeing is like um, for one of our clients, we did this like end of year offer that was like, hey, get a comprehensive review of your finances for the next year, right? We sort of framed up what would have happened anyway if somebody scheduled a discovery call, but we just framed it up from a marketing perspective of like, hey, get this complimentary assessment of your finances. And what we
Like a
ended up
special
seeing were,
offer. Hmm.
yeah, special offer. And what we ended up seeing is a number of website discovery call bookings come in where in talking with them further, our advisor learned that they had originally discovered us on Instagram, had been engaging for multiple months. Then when they saw the offer, it was enough of a catalyst for them that they looked up the advisor on Google, found the website, booked a financial planning discovery call meeting, right? So I think that's more likely what we're talking about here is that sort of awareness of like, oh, because if you think about people, right? Like their finances are not top of mind, right? They're not like the number one thing in their lives. It might be a worry or a nagging anxiety that they have. They are interested with a particular subtopic they follow. Then they keep seeing the post. They keep seeing those stories. They keep seeing those reels. Inevitably, there's something in their life that causes them to want to reach out. And we just want to be the brand that they look up. I mean, that's really
Yeah.
the way that I see it in 2026. It's very difficult to drive to have like um, you know one of one of the things that we've been learning recently is that there's a marketing firm that's really focused on driving YouTube leads, right? And they have this like entire conversion funnel where they're like trying to bring people off of YouTube and then they want to train them with like multiple emails and then they're in a discovery call. But in talking with some of the advisors themselves, they're like, yeah, I got discovery calls scheduled, but they have no idea about our firm. Like they just booked off of YouTube. Like there's not enough of a connection there for where they were actually like qualified, ready to move forward. That's much different than someone who's been following someone for months, right? And has been reading about, listening about, and then now they're finally ready to take an action. And I think that's the value of Instagram. We're going to get that brand awareness with reels, those collaborative posts. But the idea of being able to convert someone with like an incredible video that they're going to be like, now's the time after years of anxiety and worry or questions about my current advisor,
Yeah.
like now's the time to jump into the discovery planning process. I just don't think it works like that. But over
Yeah.
time, right? Over time, you're going to get that opportunity. And so that's the way I would think about it, Stephen. I think, you know,
Okay. Really good.
um, yeah, the ping pong approach
One
right
thing.
now, yeah, like
Yeah.
people are not like going search of a topic in Google and then going to the website and then signing up to do a discovery call. Like that's just not how it works. They may be looking up information, finding it, right? But then on Instagram they get served a reel and then they follow it, right? It's just we want to be, that's why we talk about being in multiple channels so that we can have that awareness across multiple channels so that when they are ready, they have our client's name in their mind for who to reach out to.
Okay, that's awesome. That's like yeah, we've used the term pinball before where it's like you think of your prospect like the pinball and you're building the pinball machine. One of the key features inside the pinball machine could be Instagram where they're bouncing off of it and they may bounce off of it several times. They may bounce off it in different ways, reels, stories, posts, whatever. And over
Yeah.
time they're kind of bouncing off of it among other things. Yeah, among your email newsletter, maybe your website visits, your LinkedIn, them visiting you on LinkedIn, and maybe YouTube videos. I think it's a really good example of the YouTube scenario you laid out there. That sounds like it was almost like transactional. It's like you're watching a YouTube video about I'm 65 with $2 million. Can I retire? And then you book a call. It's like transactional where they don't have a connection to the brand, like you said, or to the
Yeah.
more importantly to the advisor, to the personal brand of the advisor. So then you have it's just a less qualified lead, right? You just have a lower chance of converting that person, of them being a higher qualified lead in the first place. So I think what you said before about Instagram, about we want to be the brand that is in their head when that time comes, whatever the trigger is for them, whatever that catalyst event is in their life. If they've seen us on Instagram before over time, then that gives us an even better shot at being the brand that they go to when it's time to have a discovery call. And then they're a very qualified lead, like, they are ready to, it's more relationship driven at that point than it is transactional. Even though we're doing everything digitally, it's just still they know you more in a, tangible, personal way, I feel like, compared to that example you just said with YouTube. So, hopefully that makes sense. Maybe it's relational versus transactional, but if you want that to happen, you gotta build the whole pinball machine and,
Yeah.
and give it time, and work, work all these systems. And then over time, yeah, then you'll really see some scale with, more pinballs in the pinball machine bouncing around, and, a certain number will be coming through.
Yep. Nice. That's really well said. Last thing is just um, a lot of times when we're posting, especially when we're posting clips, some of our advisors will be concerned about the number of likes, the number of engagements. And I'll just say, like, the engagements are nice because they sort of give you that, like, that validation. You're like, hey, I posted something that somebody liked it. Not as important as like the number of views and the watch time and everything else, right? That's just something I like to point out to our advisors, is that when you start doing this, you're not going to get many likes. But look at this, like 500 views, and 90% of them were non-followers, right? So you can't expect these individuals that are
Yeah.
seeing you for the first time that they're going to like it, right? I think that that's a good expectation to set. We're not trying to go viral with all these videos, right? We're not trying to be the next just super like viral sports video that I would see in my feed, right? We're trying to get in front of my top of mind until we eventually can get the follow, until we can eventually get the discovery call after a period of time.
All right, awesome. Anything else to add? Any closing notes on Instagram?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, great. Well, hopefully that was some of that was helpful to you, to the advisors listening to this. We will be back with more soon. Again, if you can leave us a 5-star rating in Spotify or Apple Podcasts, that would help us continue to grow the audience here. And thanks for listening. We'll be back with more soon.